What's up, Gridbook Nation? This is Mark Perrette with Gridbook Percussion. I'm here with John Luvera.
What's up?
Co-founder of Gridbook Percussion. And today, we're going live. We're doing a Q&A. We've got our Gridbook All Access members in here ready to ask some questions. And yeah, we want to give you guys as much value as possible. I don't know if you guys want to do rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first. But we are ready for the first question.
Mara, you can go first if you want.
All right. So, next year I'm looking to try out to be the captain of my line. So, what are things I can do to kind of prep towards that? Getting in that mindset or, having those abilities to be a leader.
Yeah, I'll take the first part of that. Okay, so some early things that you can do since this is a long ways away. Ooh, I can see myself. Awesome. Oh, I went away. I don't know how you normally have it. Do you normally have it where you can see yourself?
Oh, I have it so we can see them.
Okay, cool.
I just wanted to make sure you were in frame.
In frame,
yeah.
Okay. So one of the things you can do is assist your current captain in all duties, so you can kind of learn the job in real time and training, instead of get yourself ready, but then next year when the current captain might be gone, you have to take over all the duties and you haven't actually done all the duties or might not know all the duties from when they happen in real time. I know most band programs have some sort of audition process for leadership. So going to the band director or whoever's in charge of that process and seeing what things that they're looking for, finding out how the audition process is going to go. Some places that I've taught at have had to do written essays and interviews. Some have to have other teachers that they've worked with write in and friends write in on their behalf. So just kind of seeing what that's all about and getting a jump on those things are the initial things I would do. What do you think, Mark?
So I guess a couple questions. First question is, what fears do you have going in? I know for some people, they already know what's happening and don't really have any fears, but are asking this type of question just to see what someone will say. And then there's other people who are like, I literally have no idea what's going to happen, and I'm afraid of this, that, and the other. So do you have any fears going in?
For me, I think definitely one of my biggest fears is being not good enough playing wise. Because if I compare myself to my captain I have now, there's a huge gap. So it's will I be good enough by that time? Yeah, that's one of them.
I totally feel you on that. Something I've learned over time is the leaders are typically not your best players. Being a really amazing performer and player on your instrument and being a great leader, those are two different skills. And so sometimes it's really nice when both of those things are happening, where the best player is the leader, but you don't have to be the best player to be the best leader. And so your organization skills, your communication skills, how much you are facilitating the communication between the staff and the students, how helpful you can be in delegating. Actually, so that's something you can do if you're wanting to help other people in the line and you think a part of your job as a leader is to go in and drum with other people and help them get better, which is, part of being a leader, especially if you are a drumline captain. If you think that there's someone else who might do a better job at that, then that's where you delegate. So you would say, hey, this person really needs help. Let's get together with them and help them. And then you are sort of scheduling time for your best players to help the people who don't play as well. And so that can be a way that you can be a great leader without being the best player. But at the same time, you're also learning and getting better yourself. And you try to use everyone's strengths for the greater good of the group. So if your strength is communication, awesome. Everyone's going to know what's going on because of you. Someone else is great at playing tenors, have them train the tenors. Someone else good at, subdividing, have them help the bass drums. And just really get to know your people, understand everyone's strengths, and then delegate those strengths to help the group. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Cool. And any final questions on this topic?
No, I'm good for now. If I think of anything, I'll ask.
Cool. Last thing on that is just kind of solidifying what John said. You need to excavate information. Where are we supposed to be? What are we supposed to do? What do we need to know? Especially now, like a lot of people would usually go and like we show up at this time, we get our water jugs filled, we do this, we do that. Now that there's probably some kind of new procedure because of the pandemic, you need to be asking tons of questions, writing down the answers when you get them, and then be able to come almost like this blueprint for your people. Here's how this year is going to go down. Sweet. All right, cool. Jack, what you got?
I'm just kind of gonna steal from some of the masterclass ideas I kind of suggested and just say that how to sight read better.
Cool. So the question is how to sight read better.
Yeah.
You take it? Yeah. Okay, so I guess how to sight read better, like how I look at this problem and fixing this problem, like is the solution. So I feel like reading music and reading words are the same thing, just like reading a language. If you were to read like Chinese and Japanese calligraphy, that would be in place of letters, right? So I think of quarter notes and eighth notes and rhythms, the way they're notated, as in place of letters. So how do you read words well? Well, when you were starting to learn how to read, it probably started off how you're learning how to read music now, where you're being introduced to it little by little. It's not going on all day, every day.
Right.
And then at some point, it was like, okay, you're old enough, you have to learn how to read, so we're going to read every single day. So I don't know if you're in that phase yet, but that's the first part of sight reading better, is reading every day. Trying to read something different every day, even if that just means taking your current music that you know really well and turning it upside down and now reading it down the page backwards.
Kind of just experiencing different indoor and outdoor kind of shows, looking through different groups, Crown, Blue Night, like going through different groups and kind of figuring out how different everybody is. And
absolutely. And you're not stuck to, what do you play? What's your primary instrument?
I would say snare.
Snare drum? Okay, so you're not stuck to snare drum music by any means. You can pick up violin music. You can pick up bass drum music. We're talking about rhythms primarily, right? So you can get rhythms from any musical source and use that as sight reading.
Hey, Ethan.
One of the reasons we learn to read so well are because words are everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you get in the car, your car is named something, that's a word. You know, you are driving down the street, every building has signs, and those are letters and words. If all of those were quarter notes and eighth notes, then you would be reading music like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's it. You just got to fill up your life with reading music all the time. And eventually, just like you learn how to read and you don't look at a word and go, A, B, but, you don't do that anymore. That'll go away from reading music as well. Like, you won't look at music and think, okay, what's the subdivision of this? You'll just start to read it like you read words.
And so a second thing on that, sort of some procedures, is you get a piece of music, now you're looking at it, now you want to be able to read the music quickly. You have to be able to look at the music in layers. And so if you're reading a piece of snare music, that's nice because it's just one drum, one layer. You're playing all the rhythms on one surface. look at the beams and think of things in groupings. So if I see 2 lines and 4 stems, I'm going to assume that those are 16th notes. If I see 1 beam and 2 stems, I'm going to assume those are 8th notes. And you sort of get familiar with these notations. So when you look at a piece of music, you can kind of see the X-ray of the check pattern first and at least play the rhythm. So a lot of times I'll get some music and I won't play the flams, I won't play the diddles, I won't even play the accents. I'll just look at the rhythm, like what's going to happen here. Okay, first things are saw. Shakum digadum da digadigada. All right, cool. Oh, what's the sticking? The sticking is paradiddles. Shakum digadum da digadigada. All right, sweet. And then there's a flam and a diddle on the second partial. And you start working through it that way. And now you've kind of very quickly, systematically worked on what that is. Now you're able to play it. Boom. Move on to the next. Look at it in layers. Look at it in groupings. Understand the layer of what's the rhythm, the beams, and the stems. What's the sticking? Stickings are underneath. What's the embellishments, accents, buzzes, diddles, flams, and now, boom, you understand, and you're able to move on. And those are super iconic things. And like he was saying, the more you read, the more you'll be able to understand how these things work together. So when I grab a piece of music and I look at it, I'm putting these things together way faster. So I can go, oh, okay, what's this? And I'm able to just read it like this because I've spent the time reading that type of music. Sweet. Any last questions about that topic?
That was perfect.
All right. Ethan, what up? So, Ethan, what we're doing right now is a Q&A session. So this is open floor Q&A. So this is John Lavera. He's co-founder of Gridbook Percussion. John is also on the battery staff at the Bluecoats Drum and Bugle Corps and works closely with Roger Carter and is also a battery...
Infinity?
Yeah.
I guess I'm the education coordinator now.
Education coordinator.
I play a bunch of different roles there.
Yeah, so John, if you've ever heard of the Infinity Bassline, John worked with the Infinity Bassline as they were sort of coming up and getting more popular. And then he transitioned to battery coordinator for Infinity, and now he's the one sort of facilitating and helping teach the teachers, the educators there.
Sweet.
Yeah. And any question that you have, ask away, and we will answer it for you.
All right. Sorry I'm a little late. I was out getting COVID tested, but
Oh, snap. Yeah. Gotta do that.
Yeah. I guess I kind of do have a question on what would be your perception on documentation of practicing and your progression. How much do you think you should document?
So,
yeah.
as much as possible.
All of the time.
Yeah, so I would say literally everything that you do in a practice session should be written down, probably in some form of short handwriting where you're abbreviating a lot of things. That way, you're not filling up pages and pages of stuff, but you are capturing everything that you did. And then at the end of every practice session, or at the end of every segment of a practice session, depending on how much material you're working on, capturing a video. And what that will do is, as you get down the road and as you get down the stretch, and you're wondering what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you don't have to remember things that you did 2-3 weeks ago, or 2-3 months ago, or 2-3 years ago, whatever period of time that you felt like, man, last spring I was really rocking. I felt like I had a ton of progress in that time, and now I feel like I'm in a slump. I feel like things have really slowed down for me. What was I doing back then? Open your book, turn on your videos, and then just follow the formula. And if you haven't gotten to a period like that, then being able to come to another person or an educator that you work with and being like, here's what I'm doing, everything's documented, I feel like this isn't working for me, what do we do next, how can I change this up? And that gives that person a really good starting point to work with you versus not, and then now we have to figure out what all your habits are because you didn't record exactly what you're doing. And then after we spend time figuring it out, then molding it from there. So it's just going to be a helpful tool any way you look at it.
And so now let's talk specifics, right? If you are practicing and you're just writing down a bunch of random stuff, I'm working on Etude A, you're writing stuff about that, then I'm working on Etude B and I'm writing stuff about that, and then I'm working on this flam exercise and write stuff about, and then if you're documenting a process that actually isn't good, then you're just going to be documenting a ton of random stuff. You're not going to have any focus. So in tandem with like documenting is to have a great process. And so you need to know, what are you trying to accomplish and what are you going to work on to help you accomplish that very specifically. And so like when we teach our private lessons, it's very regimented in a process of what's the long-term goal? I want to march Santa Clara Vanguard. Okay, sweet. What's the midterm goal? Well, I'm going to march Troopers, and that's going to prepare me to march Santa Clara Vanguard. Okay, cool. So in order to march Troopers, what do you need to do? Well, I need to be able to play all of these fundamentals. I need to understand the packet. I need to know this. I need to know that. And you sort of map out all of these goals, everything from the biggest dreams you could ever have all the way down to what am I going to do literally in this moment. And then you start to follow those things, and those are the types of things that you want to document. So a scenario, let's say you want to make sure that your approach is matching the ensemble that you want to march. You would open up YouTube, watch how they drum, write things down. Super relaxed hands, no slicing, blah, blah, blah. They do this, they do that. You're sort of documenting that. Now you go to practice for yourself. You're practicing your legatos. You turn the metronome on. You're playing. You're thinking about how they play and how you want to play and matching that. You're playing you're looking in a mirror. You're noticing a few things. Your left hand is kind of turned in a little. You're slow behind the met consistently. And then you stop and you write those things down. Left hand, angle. Not correct, I need to do this. Feet are slow, this is that, this is that. Then you're looking at that, all right, cool. Then you jump back on. All right, let's drum some more. What else is happening? Okay, here's what I'm noticing. You're looking in a mirror, or you're recording yourself, watching the recording, writing notes like a judge, then practicing again. This is all happening in the same practice session. And so it's not just play, write, leave. It's playing and writing and documenting as a process that's working together. Then you get to the end of your practice session. Now what I like to think about is, what have I accomplished? I bumped the tempo up 5 clicks. You're not looking for any insane, crazy progress. You're just looking for, what's one thing I fixed? Well, my feet got better in time today. Sweet. And make that a good thing. Like, boom, at least today I relaxed my grip a little more. Boom. You close the book, then you go do the math homework that you don't want to do, and then you go and you longboard for a little while, you hang out with friends, you are eating, you're doing your thing. The next day comes, and I don't remember what I did 10 minutes ago. So remembering exactly where you left off and exactly what you were working on in the last moment of your practice session, now you are opening your practice journal, looking at what you did yesterday, and then you're starting right there where you left off. cool, I'm going to play this exercise again, but I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to have a weird left-hand angle. I'm not going to da-da-da-da-da-da-da, all the things I wrote down. Eventually, those start to phase away where you're like, dude, I didn't play out of time today at all, the whole time. I didn't even have to write that one down. And that's a win. And that's when you know that you're getting better. And it's those kind of small wins that you are documenting and able to read and see the documentation that it's happening. That is the vehicle for growth. And that it's way easier to be like, cool, I'm actually seeing that I'm getting better because I'm writing it down and I'm being aware of it, than just practicing for 3 weeks and then at the end of it being like, I don't really feel a difference. And that can be a cause of a lack of motivation. Does that help?
Yeah, that really explains it well.
Sweet. Also, hand me that. If you need a practice journal, we have those available on thegridbookseries.com. For real though, like, just grab a composition notebook, like grab any type of thing. And you might be a digital person. Like, John lives and swears by the memo pad, and he writes all his stuff digitally. Yeah, there you go.
It's got to have a system.
Boom. All right, sweet. Mara, you're up. Let's bring it around town.
All right. So a big question is, like, how do I keep the people on my line engaged? Because, like, I've been stepping up and trying to text people and see how they're doing, what they've been practicing. But, like, the people that I really struggle with are the people who do not text back, do not communicate. Like, sometimes I wonder if they're alive. Like, I don't know if I should keep reaching out to them every other day, or I'm just, like, bothering them at that point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different angles. So I'll just hit a bunch of different ways to go about this and kind of questions to ask and things to check off. First is the people that you're dealing with. Where do drums and percussion and band in their priority of their life, like, where does that fall? So I know when I was still marching, it was number one, period. So if something was coming down the line that had to do with drumming, it got my immediate attention. Excuse me, attention and response. Let me take a drink. So if you're talking to people who are really into 3 other things before band hits, that could be a reason why you're not getting an immediate response from them, because this time is like already crazy, and for a lot of people it's allowing them to spend extra time on their number one thing that they're into. Might be gaming, might be surfing, might be riding bikes, might be fitness. You know, it's different for everyone. So when you do communicate with the different people, that's something to kind of ask about and explore and develop a relationship around, learning about that person. Does that make sense? So another one is just a lot of people, us included in different ways at different times, are bad communicators. Especially when things are crazy and up in the air like they are right now. Just like the world is in a crazy place.
I was about to write that down.
I was already a bad communicator. And so now there's no way you're getting in touch with me unless it's like absolutely 100% necessary thing that's come up. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of what you may be trying to do is probably extra than what's being asked from maybe the school system or the drum instructor that you have. And if that's the case, that is another cutoff point for some other people where they are only, I love band, I love drumming, but I'm only going to do what I absolutely have to do. And if I'm doing that, I'm good, because I also like riding my dirt bike on the weekend.
And we call those people hobbyists.
So that was a point of immense tension for the majority of my time doing this band percussion music thing
You
is
can,
not realizing
everywhere
that.
I have ever taught, this is a thing.
Where you may be a professional, not necessarily in the level that you play, but the lifestyle that you live. Where band is happening for you 24/7. I wake up, eat, sleep, and breathe band. And if you are talking to a hobbyist with your professional tone and mentality and level of dedication, this is a lot of that is what's happening. And if that has already happened and you're coming for round 2 and round 3, then now they are dodging you because I'm a hobbyist. Hold up. I'm not trying to commit to all that.
Practice that much.
So those are just some things to look at and to consider when you're making decisions. And once you find out where everyone's at with those things, then you can kind of pick how you're going to go about getting them to do more. So if they're just lazy, then a kick in the butt might be good, depending on where they're at, what their personality is. Some people will be like, if I can just come drum with you, if you could bring them on board to what you're doing, or you and me, let's get in a live session like this and let's practice together, instead of you wanting me to practice for an hour on my own, that might be the trigger. So it's different for every person, and so you just got to keep trying different angles.
And this is one of the largest issues, one of the biggest questions, especially at the high school level, because there's no cookie cutter way to look at this issue of like keeping people engaged. You might have some people who you write them and you tell them what's going on, and they read it and they don't see any call to action. So you're not specifically telling them. Some people like hide in groups. So if a mass text goes out to everyone, they read it, they're like, oh, okay, the group's doing this thing, that's cool. I'm not, I don't have to really do anything. You feel kind of like the group will take care of it and you don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm just going to let this do what it do. And that's why they're not replying, is because you haven't given them a very specific individual personal call to action. You might have other people who think that they are going to get in the way and that they suck really bad at drumming and they're embarrassed. People don't want to show up and be like, hey, let's all put on display how terrible I am. And so if you're like, yo, let's all get together and let's drum and let's do this, the Zoom call thing, someone might be like, there's no way I'm doing that because I don't know anything and I'm going to look like a fool in front of all my people, and that might be a reason why they're not writing you back. And so just realize that it's your job to do the communicating. You want to make sure that you are putting out call to actions. So if you write someone and you say, hey, here's what's going, blah, 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 even give them instructions on how to reply. Like, reply with yes if you understand. Or what time do you guys want to do this? Or, give these sort of call and response communications where at the end of your message, it's asking for some type of reply. And that's another way to sort of get replies back. And then sort of we could go on and on this topic, but one of the last things I'll say about this is you are on one side of the fence and then everybody is on the other side of the fence. If you try to get everyone to climb the fence to your side at the same time, and you're trying to get everyone's attention all at the same time, blah, 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 no one's going to listen. But if you can just get one person, right, just one person to come on over, now it's you and this other person, and it's like we're fully communicating, we're drumming, we're getting better, we're doing our thing. Cool. Now that has completed, you got one person now fully on board. Get one more. And just focus. Can I just get one person to get on my level? And then eventually, after one at a time, next thing you know, there's more people on this side than there are on that side. And guess what starts looking real awesome? what you're doing. And then those last few people, they'll all climb the fence at the same time. Now you got everybody. But if you're trying to, hey, you should come here and you should do this and you should do this, you're going to be super exhausted. Like, that's exhausting. Trying to ask everyone, having this super high expectation that everyone's going to climb on board, and then nobody texts you back or talks. That sucks. But if you are just putting your energy, like, text everyone, but put the expectation on just getting one person on board and put that extra energy into that person. And that can help kind of your emotions as well. Because you want everyone to be as into it as you and as excited, but that's just not how it goes.
Yeah, and a realistic, like, timeline for me, it has been like one person a year. Right. So as a student in high school, it's like one person a year. I'm definitely not going to get everyone because I only have a year left. Well, that's true. But then the next person who takes over your position, maybe in leadership, or this person that is curating the culture of your section, then you then pass that down to that person. It's like, look, so we already got these two people, and you need to make sure that you get another person in your 2 years or your year that you have, and you get someone else to continue that. And then over the course of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years,
now you have a culture.
Right. Now, that is a realistic timeline of getting everyone over the fence.
That's how you have these Chino Hills schools where it's just like, how do they get everyone on board the whole time? And it's because of many, many, many years of people getting one person, then two, then three. Now everyone's on board, and then every time a new person comes in, they're coming into your side of the fence already, into a culture where everyone's on board, and into a culture where people graduate and then come back. And every home game and every, middle school night or whatever, like, those alumni coming back is so crucial to helping inspire the people who are coming in. It's a holistic approach. And you can be the spark of that culture. Just know it's a long road. This isn't like something you're going to fix this week.
Thanks. That really opened my eyes to like everything that's going on. I think the most trouble that I've been having with like specifically one person is finding out where they really sit, because they'll tell me like, oh yeah, like I'd love to like get on a call with you and figure out, and like I'd love for you to give me a few like new music to work on. And then I'll be like, okay, how's about tomorrow? They'll be like, okay, yeah, sure, tomorrow. And then that's it. No text back. No planning.
Is his name Alan Dorsey? I know that person.
Yeah. We got put on blast.
Let me tell you, those people exist. Those people exist. There are people who are like, they do not do any type of conflict at all. So you'll be like, hey, we should practice. And to your face, they will never say, I don't want to do that. They'd way rather be like, dude, that sounds awesome. I would love to do this. And then it comes time and they ghost you. That's way easier for some people. For me, I'll have an anxiety attack if I'm not like communicating 100% with the person that I told I would do the thing. But other people just realize that in the moment when you're talking, it sounds cool, it is cool. They don't want any conflict. And then when the time comes, like we said, they might be embarrassed that they're not great at what they do. They might have other weird things going on at home that you don't really know about, that they're embarrassed again. Like, I don't want to turn on the camera and you see my life, which is I'm not proud of. And so there's all these factors that like you never think about. And then as we've been doing it for so long, it's like, whoa, I had no idea that these scenarios could even exist. And the whole time I was blaming myself. Oh, they don't want to do it because of me. And then come to find out years later, oh, actually, I didn't want to do it because XYZ was happening in my life at that time. It's like, whoa.
I have a question for you. This person, you said it seems like, is band like their main thing that they love from your perspective? Like, could you try to connect with this person in a different way over a different subject?
Well, honestly, this person is a freshman, so I don't know much about them. And from my point of view, it looks like band is kind of like a second or third choice, but from like a lot of other people's perspectives that I've talked to, they're like, oh yeah, this person is really involved with band, they were in band staff, they love it. So it's kind of just like, okay, which side is it? Like, what's the truth?
I got you. Yeah.
You know?
Just sounds like you have some more relationship building to do.
Yep. And that's the thing with freshmen coming in is everything is crazy. Like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know any of these teachers. This is a new location. I'm not used to going here. There's new times. I used to be the top dog. Now I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, and then on top of that, you have someone who's wildly intimidating you, who's texting them like, hey, do you want to do this thing that I'm comfortable doing and that you've never done before? You know what I mean? So it just takes time. But stay persistent and be super friendly and paint the picture. You got to paint the picture. Here's what we're going to do. Sends video. This is what I really, this video gets me excited. Like, check this out. Here's what we're going to sound like. Yo, here's a video from our performance last year. Look at this. Look at that. Here's a meme. Just like you got to paint the picture of how cool this is, because if you just say we're going to practice and get really good, that doesn't paint any type of picture. But if you can hold up the picture and say, when we get done, it's going to look like this. They're looking at the picture like, wow, that's cool. I want to do that. And you have to paint that picture for them.
Yep.
All right, sweet. So we're in the last 15 minutes. Jack, I know you said you had to bounce at 55. So, Ethan, I don't remember seeing you play specifically. But for Mara and Jack, I have watched you guys play in videos that you have sent. I don't think we'll have time today, but I definitely would like one of these sessions to be like a set up session, because there's tons of technique, how to hold the sticks, how to stand behind the instrument, and how to just look world class and approach the drum world class at just a base level that I think you guys really need, and I would love to work with you to do that. So maybe, next week we can do that, but there's just a bunch of stuff. I watch the videos, I'm like, oh man, this could be like so much better instantly if they just did these things. So I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but
yeah, I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah, that sounds like I really want that.
Yeah, I see the potential, and then I'm like,
yeah,
oh, they don't even know. They don't even know about this, that, and the other. So there's a world class sort of checkbox, and if you're not checking off at least these first 10 things, you will never make a drum line in the WGI DCI circuit. It's just like there's this standard, this unwritten rule kind of thing.
Right.
And so getting you guys to understand what the rules are and then having you be able to practice towards that world-class standard, I think would be really dope. So remind me, and then we'll do a sort of like Q&A / setup masterclass next week. Okay, so we're on Jack for the Q&A.
I don't really have any questions that are like burning. I guess I could say maybe how to write a more basic lick, because I can kind of write one, but it's like what I seem to write seems to be a little bit out of my comfort zone of like my own skill level playing, I guess.
So, I have a thing to say.
So yeah, say it.
So, as students in this game, especially if you're real serious about getting better and you watch drum corps and you watch, WGI groups and you're in band and you're just like really about it and you're practicing and you want to get better, I think that it is wildly important that you are not only asking tons of questions, but documenting any time you run into a question about anything. And then when you run into someone who has the answers, you need to be like, oh, I'm allowed to ask you a question right now? Let me pull up my memo pad that has all the questions I want to know. And so, like, right now, this is your opportunity. Like, John Luvera is a Blue Coat staff member. And then it's like, cool, what questions do you have? It's like, well, I don't really have any questions.
Right.
What? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way you're not running into 1,000 questions a day trying to get better and practicing and how do they do that? How does Brandon Olander play so fast? Why does this happen? What is this? And you got to document those questions so then when you have the opportunity to ask them, you can be like, I have tons of questions. I want to get better at this. I want to know how to do this. I want to know how to do that. How do I look? If I were you, I would be like, can I play legatos? And you tell me how to get better at that. I'm going to play this thing that I really want to do. Like, your ability to ask intelligent questions is going to expedite your success so much faster. Because there are people who are going to be able to help you. You're going to run into people who are going to be able to help you. But if you're not asking them the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers for your specific mold of who you are and what you're trying to become.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So, I mean, well, obviously, if you want to write licks, we can talk about that. But I really want to let you guys know, like, how important that is to know what questions to ask. And if you're not sure, that's the question to ask. What question should I be asking? And then I was going to say, this is like the master class we had a few weeks ago with like the hand of feet. That was like my boiling question for like a while. That like I'm still like processing that, working on that, because that's been my most urgent thing. And it's just I cannot line my feet up in time at some times. Yeah. So if we were to reverse roles, right? If you're in here and you have been teaching for 20 years and you're ready to give the answers, and then I'm the student on the other side sitting and they say, all right, what questions do you have? And I know that that's an issue, I would be like, here's my question, and I would get up and grab the pad and be like, this is the exact issue that I'm having. Like, I can't line my feet up on this part. Help me. And then we would be like, okay, first of all, you're not standing up straight. Second of all, the pad's at the wrong height. Third of all, when you mark time, your feet are out of time from the mess. Let's do this, let's do that, let's follow this, let's follow that. And like these sessions can be you literally playing and like have this sort of mini private lesson go on. You know what I'm saying?
That's the benefit of the beta time.
Right.
Because this 100%, like this intimate session where there's just 5 of us together, that's going to go away. And we'll be in rooms where there'll be so many people, we won't even be able to answer everyone's question. Soon.
If you are passive in the way that you are communicating and excavating knowledge from people, your process is going to be really slow. The people who get better faster are the ones who are like with conviction going after the answers. Like, you should have, by the end of this week, 100 questions written down. Like, what are my feet out of time? Is my pad at the right height? Am I playing legatos correctly? Am I playing double beat correctly? How can I be a better leader? What is it? Just like any time you run into that little thought in your head of like, I wonder, write that down and have a document. And then you're living your life, you're doing your thing, you run into an issue, you have a question, write it down. Even if you can't figure it out in the moment, write that down. Write that down. And then your goal should be, how can I get these questions answered? And if you start answering these questions, imagine if you really sit down and think about all the questions you could possibly ask, and you get 100 of them down on this big list, and then you answer all of them fully in depth, and you understand. On the other side of that is you being awesome. You know what I mean? But if you don't ask the questions, you're not going to get the answers. And then you're just going to continue to just kind of stay here. Okay. Like, you feel me?
Yes, I do.
Like, you gotta ask questions.
Here's the thing that I do, and this might be a little bit down the line for you guys, but you can still at least have it running in your mind, is I don't, a lot of times now, just because I've been doing this for a long time, like, have questions that I don't have an answer to in some form. So I just ask questions that I already have an answer to, just to either A, confirm that what I'm thinking and doing is the right thing, or to be like, oh wow, here's a new perspective on that thing. I either love that and I'm going to now incorporate that into what I do, or I hate that and I need to find a solution for people who think about doing things that way. So...
And so I just want to be super clear that it's not misconstrued in my aggressiveness right now, is that I want you guys to win. I want y'all to win. I want you to go to the audition and make it. I want you to march the places. I want you to do the things. I want you to have the experiences. And I have seen so many times people who are passionate, but they don't ask questions, they don't follow a process, they don't make habits, they don't follow the blueprint, and then they get cut, and then they get cut, and then they get cut, and then they finally take lessons after 3 years of getting cut, and then I am just super real with them, and it hurts their feelings at first. But then when they're like, wow, okay, no, you're right, I haven't been doing this, I haven't been doing that, I haven't been doing this, they start following the process. Next thing you know, they make the line. They go to audition. It's like, wow, I had no idea that there was 8 million perspective pieces that now I have because of doing the process. And then you're not beat out by other people because those other people are where you were. Not following the process, but still showing up. There's two people who show up to an audition. People who are going there to learn and get the experience, and that's a huge thing. And then there's other people who knew last year they were going to make the line and they got cut and they're coming back to take the spot. And so when you show up, realize that you're mixed among the people who are already there.
Second,
third time in a row. But everybody looks the same. And so our job as educators is to help you learn those things and get humbled by those things early so that when you go, you're not learning these things for the first time at the audition.
Yeah. 3-minute warning.
Sweet. Cool. So, did this help today? Do you guys like this format?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Just like
Yeah, it works.
straight up. Straight up to your face what you need.
I'll sure to bring 100 questions next week.
I'm not kidding. Here's what's funny
We'll
about
just do
that.
rapid fire.
What's funny about that is that when you start really trying to write down questions, you realize how much you don't know. You're like, okay, let me write this down. I don't know that. Let me write this down. Wow, I don't know that either. You're on like question 32 and you're like, I don't know anything. And that's a great place to be because then now you got your ducks in a row and you're just ready to knock them out. Boom, 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 boom. Let me figure all this out. And then you show up on Monday and you might get 4 or 5 of them things answered.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming. And have a good night. This is Mark Perrette
And John Rivera.
with Good Book Percussion signing out. Peace.